Hi, welcome to the podcast. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my morning. And things did not go exactly as planned, yet they were most likely one of the most fulfilling parts of my day. So I went to the gym and I decided to go into the sauna and just sit for 10 minutes quietly and start my day. And so I was in there sitting quietly, and a young man walked in with a bright orange, like street clothes, had gym shorts on. I thought I saw him out by the equipment, but didn't pay much attention. And so I kind of like sat up and was just going into my own space. And I'm not sure if this ever happened to you, but there was a few thoughts going on in my head around, I wish I was in here alone. But I just like said, this is good practice, sit and just be quiet. And I didn't have music, I didn't have anything. And so I was sitting quietly, breathing. And all of a sudden he said out loud, "Can I ask you for help?" And I looked over and I said, "Yes." And he said, "Everything I wanted, like I've worked so hard to get a successful business, I have. And everything is falling apart. And I'm like really having a hard time." And it was super heavy in there. And I felt his well of emotion. And so I said, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, one, I have a call at 9 o'clock. And so I'm not sure how I'm going to handle this quickly. Meaning, like, obviously it's bigger than me and he's got some things happening. And so I just said, I'm like, I'm not sure. What were you asking for help around? And he said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm struggling with my employees. It's all glomming onto me. I feel bad. I know what their situation is. I know that, this one doesn't have this and this one doesn't have that. And then they're going through a divorce, and like everything that's happening in their life, I'm wearing on my shoulders, and the weight of the world is on my shoulders. And it's really starting to affect me. And, one, I share this story in the spirit of, we all have a lot going on. Sharon Salzberg wrote a book called Real Change, and it is highly recommended. It is mindfulness to heal ourselves and the world. And it's Sharon Salzberg. One, I share this because sometimes we do need to ask for help. And so when I asked him how I could help, he basically said, I need you to just listen. And so I listened and he started sharing a lot of details that were causing him stress. And then he said, I'd like to ask you what you think I should do. And I said, well, there's probably a lot of things you should do or could do. One thing that I hear is the meaning you're assigning to what's happening in your life right now. And I said, have you ever seen the movie The Incredibles? And he said, yes. And I said, one, you need a force field around yourself. Like Violet, you need to put that field around yourself and not allow everything else from what other people are going on and what's happening in this world to glom onto you. And he said, yeah, that. He's cracked a smile and laughed a little. And then I said, what are you doing to like help yourself? Are you meditating? And that doesn't mean Om for 30 minutes. It means like you're doing right now, you're sitting in the sauna. I said, are you celebrating some of the things that you're doing right? Because it sounds like the stories that I keep hearing are all the things that are not working and what's broken. So, what do you really want? And why do you really want it? And what will it take to set yourself up with some tools? And I said, there's a lot of resources, and I gave him two specific. I said, you don't have to listen to these, but it might help you. And I really did have a call at 9 o'clock, so I had to leave. And I said to him, I could see you're thinking and you care a lot and you want to make this better. He's like, yeah. So I said, well, here's two things that I would recommend. One is find the time to set yourself straight in the morning with the story in your head and the strategies that you can use. And, you can't solve everyone else. What's in your control? What can you influence? What's not in your control? And he said, okay, and so I left, but I didn't feel great about it because I wasn't trying to be his coach and I wasn't trying to fix anything. But he really, just as a human, from a heartfelt space, like felt alone from what I detected and felt like he needed strategy and some way out and something, he just couldn't get out of his own way. And so when I walked out into the parking lot, I was like, oh, I felt bad that I had to work. In my mind, in my head, I was thinking, I wish we could have, there's so many tools I use. I wish I could have supported him a little bit more. But then I looked over, I got my car and I started to pull out and I looked over and I saw this truck and it was the only big truck in the parking lot. So I reversed, went back that way, took a photo of the truck. And when I got home, I knew his name because it was on his shirt and he told me also. And I Googled what was on the truck and reviews, and sure enough, found his name in one of the reviews and called him. And I just said, I can't talk because I have a 9 o'clock. There was 3 minutes before 9. I said, I would love to stay connected and just have a conversation. And I probably don't have all the answers, but maybe there's a resource or something that could point you in the right direction. He clearly was like highly, emotional, but also wearing the weight of the world. And so for today's podcast, I wanted to share that story. One, sometimes just being there and listening is probably the best that someone else could use in any given stressful moment. And it was a circumstance that something triggered him in the morning, was something that happened on a project at work. And for all of us, there's a trigger. And for all of us, there's tools. And so if you are looking for a way to ground yourself, I would recommend the book Real Change. I was given this as a gift, and I did see Sharon Salzberg speak earlier this year, and I thought she was amazing. And she said, meditating is not about sitting and practicing. If you're trying it, you're doing it right. And so for all of us, getting grounded, breathing, being able to find gratitude and celebrate some of our progress and our wins are some best practices. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope that you are able to find moments of joy and ask for help whenever it is needed. Thanks, everyone.